Why are they silent? And on a smaller scale, we see a lot of other abuses or whatever, bad practices that go unnoticed or unreported, or nothing much is done about it. Except I think in California there was some monks who were not doing what they shouldn't be doing, and in Thailand as well. But what role does the monastic community have in advancing your cause or standing on your platform? Thank you.
These are loaded questions, loaded in a good way, because they are multi-layered, like Brother Leslie's and yours, because they go straight into the heart of the matter. I don't like to beat around the bush. I don't like to be indirect. Sometimes you have to be, I understand. But given the nuances that your question presents and the problems it addresses, one has to be direct. In that way, I will try to address your question now directly, which is, it is no different than the political scene. When you're looking at a person who is a bhikkhu, to expect him to be somehow a higher breed of a human being who thinks truly with compassion and understanding by looking at the other person, and then come from that position and address the matter just like you would expect from anyone else, that would be a high expectation on your part, unfortunately.
Unrealistic?
Current situation? Yes. Because what I have seen is they have turned into islands. I have been receiving emails from around the world during these last 2 years especially, of individuals who want to ordain. And some of the things that they share with me tells you that these people are really interested. But they are being demanded certain things. Temples were closed. The government's initial city, their own legal requirements notwithstanding. We have to respect the country's legal requirements. But what you had were monasteries and centers who were becoming more stringent, more critical, to open their doors for people who really needed help. They were saying, sorry, doors are closed, no one can help you, bhikkhus are not available. And some people are being turned away because of their health status. One monastery has made it official, it's also a Thai forest tradition, in America, very well known, I'm not going to mention, made up this rule that if the candidate is above the age of a certain age, basically, if you're in the 20s, maybe mid-30s, we can still accept you. But if you're above that, we cannot. Well, who gave them the right to make up such a rule? Because many of them have gone to Asia, have come to Asia, and freely were taken inside, given the Dhamma, given the ordination. So now you have very much of the presence of dirty politics. So this is sad. That's why I keep on saying the laity must be informed of, one, the foundation of the teachings, that is, to be very well augmented, supported by that, and two, with the realization that you have so much power. Don't treat me, don't treat the bhikkhu any differently when it comes to you expecting results. I know you cannot tell if the bhikkhu is an arahant or not. Fine. But there's other indications, you know. Is the person decent? At the very least, the bhikkhu must have a loving heart. At the very least, they need to be generous, not hold. You have bhikkhus in Europe and America holding on, not just America, New Zealand, Australia, holding on to their vihara as if it belongs to them. How? We're not even allowed to have anything, let alone 184-acre land. So you have bhikkhus who are promoting ownership. And that is something I'm completely against. Because what life am I leading? Am I living a lay life? At least take off your robes. I respect that. Disrobe, go back to lay life and live like a lay life, because that's what I'm seeing you live like. I respect that. In that sense, I have more respect for lay people who are really practitioners. Today, I know lay students who are noble disciples, who have the Dhamma in their hearts. Lay disciples. So it irks me when I hear a bhikkhu say, a lay person cannot attain Nibbana, or a lay person cannot even attain the fourth jhana. Who said that? Where do you get your sources from? There's nothing like that in the suttas. In fact, the majority of the students that Lord Buddha had who were attaining the first, second, and third stage were lay people, because the lay people were more in number. And they were the ones who were producing more Arya Savakas. So this is not to talk down to the bhikkhus. I happen to be one. But we have to at least see a problem and call it out. As they say in lay life, you pay what you get what you pay for, right? So if you are not demanding from your bhikkhu a certain standard, you're going to get substandard, I'm sorry to say. But don't come complaining to the Dhamma. I'm not going to make friends, of course, in the sangha. Many people are not going to like it, but hey, I don't care. I don't care. For me, my teacher is Lord Buddha. And it's not outside. It's in our heart. Nibbana can only happen in your heart. The Dhamma is in your heart, or not. When people take refuge, is it truly Buddhaṃ saranam gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saranam gacchāmi, Sangham saranam gacchāmi? Or is it really Lobhaṃ saranam gacchāmi, Dosaṃ saranam gacchāmi, Mohaṃ saranam gacchāmi, Kileshaṃ saranam gacchāmi? Is it the defilements that you're taking refuge in? Let's be honest. These are not just words. They have to have meaning. If somebody comes to you, if you were going to marry someone, and they came and they said, I love you, but they said it like, you know, they're lying. Would you listen? Would you believe them? Well, what makes you think that this is different? When we take refuge, we have to have everything on the line. That's what Lord Buddha is saying. Keen interest. It's like that desire, which Lord Buddha calls chanda, C-H-A-N-D-A, chanda. Because wherever your chanda is, that's where yoniso manasikara is. Your attention is going to be there. So if I, as a bhikkhu, am thinking about my reputation, my big van, my house, my, I don't know, whatever, my supporters, then you know where my chanda is. It's not in the Dhamma. But people can learn. I am also a believer in that. But we have to at least be honest and say it like it is, instead of avoiding the elephant in the room. So let's not avoid the elephant in the room. And as far as being faced with the realities of the politics and all that, and bhikkhus and communities not coming to the forefront and saying what needs to be said, that is the sad case, but at least don't lose your own compass. Fortunately, we don't have a leader that we have to follow blindly. Like you said, the Catholics do this and that. And I love that Lord Buddha did not put anyone like that, even though we have done that. The Vassas are example. Yes, people have considered, oh, I have the highest Vassa, so everyone will follow me. I'm the biggest head honcho in this room. No, you're not. Remember that 7-year-old Arahant novice? One time in the UK, I had to bring up the Venerable Sariputta again in a different incident. One day Venerable Sariputta was busy doing something, and he would actually stay behind in the monastery to make sure, in the mornings, to make sure everything was okay. He looked after the sick, he cleaned the monastery, and then he would go to Pindapada. So one day he's doing one of those things, I'm presuming, and his robes are touching the ground, the floor. And a young novice monk, barely 7 years old, turns to him and says, "Your robe is touching the ground," in a very scolding manner. Child. He doesn't know who the general of the Dhamma is, Venerable Sariputta, the chief. Venerable Sariputta doesn't say, "Who are you? You're a nothing, you're a cockroach, what are you talking about?" He doesn't say. Immediately Venerable Sariputta starts fixing his robe, despite who it came from. He fixes his robe, makes sure that it's not touching the ground, because we're not allowed to have the robe touch the ground. And then immediately he puts his hands in Anjali, and he bows to the boy and he says, "Thank you, teacher." Smiles and walks away. Today, I don't know how many bhikkhus will even accept that. Just like that bhikkhu in the UK, he started arguing with me that never happened to Venerable Sariputta. Because we were talking about humility and being kind to one another. So that is also missing. Kindness. Because people have turned this into another form of a possession, which is very ironic, because when I go through airports, the security always asks me, "What do you have in your pockets?" And I say, "I'm a bhikkhu, I don't have any pockets." And they look at me funny. And I was like, "Well, what is this?" And it's security. I say, "You're free to examine." So it's a belt. Is it leather? No, it's just threads, and it's like fabric. So they look, they really get in there. They have the x-ray. They still want to touch. I was like, okay. But there's no wallets. So we don't have any wallets. But we make other kinds of wallets. So that's why the laity is so crucial. You have more power than you think. And I believe in quality versus quantity. So I don't care if we have 1 million bhikkhus versus 100, but good bhikkhus. But unfortunately, as in the second law of thermodynamics, if you know your science, energy moves from a state of order, composition, orderliness, into disorderliness. That's the science's fancy way of saying anicca. It moves from a state of orderliness, like think of the mountaintop, the summit, and eventually it breaks down and turns into tiny little sand grains on the beach. Even the Dhamma, Lord Buddha said, is going to become corrupted. And it started even at his time. So we are very lucky that we still have it. But that doesn't mean that we should be okay, sit like this and say, well, let the other generation figure it out. No. The other generation might not have even this. So, I hope my attempt at answering your question was somewhat satisfactory.